Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Rise Up and Share Your Medicine podcast. I am so excited to be here with you today for episode 142 Sovereign Energy Reclaim Your Light and Your Power. So, before anything else, my name is Lisa Espinosa. I am a spiritual career coach for change makers, for guides who are wanting to create more impact, bring more healing to the world, more transformation, but know that they're here to do that in a way that not only blesses them in the process, but really they're doing it from a place of fullness, from a place of sovereignty. So today's episode, I'm so excited about. It's such an important one. What we're going to cover is this. So one is two energy draining patterns. Also, why these patterns. So these are patterns that any human can experience and does experience. But then I'm going to help you understand why this is particularly challenging and problematic for helpers. Okay, and then after that, I'm going to share a very powerful, simple practice that you can do to prevent you from going into these energy drains. All right, so these are the problems we're going to talk about. And I do have my notes in case you see me looking down, just because there's so much I can say about this. I really wanted to organize it in a way that is practical, that is concise. I'm not skipping important things, but I'm also not going too far off on tangents. So these are the two energy patterns that are important for you to know. One is energy attachments and energy leaks. Both of them are leaks, but I want to differentiate. This is really important. So what is an energy attachment? When you have an attachment to a person, a situation, a place, a memory, basically you are energetically attached to something outside of you for validation. That's an attachment. That's different than an energetic connection that feels fulfilling, that feels revitalizing, right? So you might have, for example, an energetic connection to your children if you're a parent, or to your partner, or to your parent, and that feels really good, right? So that's not what I'm talking about. An attachment is draining your energy, like you are attaching to something outside of yourself for validation. Okay, that's pattern number one. Pattern number two is a leak, is when somebody outside of you is attaching to you, you're allowing it. Like, this is really important to know. It might be unconscious. You might think like, no, why would I allow that? Most of us would think that. But there's reasons why, especially as helpers, we allow outside. It could be a situation. It could even be a place. Most often it's people, other humans, to suck your energy, to deplete your energy. So notice they're both, of course, intertwined and connected. An energy attachment, you've hooked your energy to something outside of yourself, seeking validation. An energy leak, something outside of you has hooked to you and you're allowing it to drain your energy. Okay, so I'm going to give you some personal stories to share with this. So for the first one, right away, what came to mind, I have it here, but I have to climb over my table to get it. So of an example of an energy attachment. When I wrote my first book, Answering Your Inner Calling, and it came out, I had a lot of attachment. There was a lot of attachment to people reading it, people liking it, people writing reviews for it, feeling like it was adding value. I had a lot of attachment. There was a lot of, and of course this happened throughout as I was writing the book. Not every second, every moment, I definitely was connected to a pure intention of deeply wanting this to be a book that added value to others. So that was true and authentic. But then there was the attachment, right? Especially when it came out, there was so much attachment to it's like I wanted people to read it. I didn't want people to read it. I wanted to yeah, I just was seeking external validation for it. And so it really sucked my joy for the first year. It was like this depletion of my joy because there was so much attachment. And it wasn't like I went around saying to people, you should read it, tell me how good it is. It wasn't that, but I was affected, right? So when I didn't have to, but when I chose to do book talks about my book, I had so much attachment. And for me, attachment looked like not wanting to be judged, not wanting to be dismissed, not wanting people to question me like, oh, were my teachings correct? Who was I to write this book? So you can see there's a lot of attachment. So, and I can say this now because of course, as I was going through this, thank goodness I had my beautiful, wise personal coach at the time helping me process this, helping me really go into like, okay, what were the parts of me that were having so much attachment to the quote unquote success of my book, right? And it really took like a year. I mean, I was feeling better throughout, but it took really a year for me to be able to look at my book and feel just joy and feel pride and feel like just grateful that I'd done it and that it was that people were getting benefit from it. Like, because I had to go through that process of releasing the attachment. So for you, notice when you hear that story, maybe it's not a book, maybe, and let me back up first. I want to be very clear. This is very normal. Why is it normal? Because as humans, yes, we are a soul having a human experience, right? We are divine beings, but we're having a human experience. What does that mean? We have an ego structure. We have an egoic mind. And the ego is programmed to look outside of itself for validation. So it is very normal, very human to have energy attachments. But the reason that we commit to our spiritual journey, that we meditate, do yoga, take walks, whatever your practice is, show up to podcasts like these, is because we don't want to be led by our ego. I'm not trying to say the ego is bad or that you should get into a fight with it. That's a whole other problem. But if you're here and you were drawn to this because either consciously or unconsciously, you want to be led from your soul. So I want to share that it's very important because I don't want you to beat yourself up or judge yourself for any of this or think there's something wrong with you. It's like, oh, this is human. We have attachments. So what I was going to ask is, notice for you, what are you in this moment? What is your energetic attachment to? Is it how many clients you have, how many likes you get on a social media post? It could be so many things, how people respond to your classes. Maybe it's an attachment to not disappointing people, not having people ever be mad at you, not having people ever judge you, not having people dismiss you. Whatever it is, just get very clear. Again, very compassionate, right? This isn't anything to judge or be ashamed of. It's just like, oh yeah, it's something to get very sober about, very clear about. When I talk about sobriety in this moment, I'm not talking about sober from like substances. I'm talking about sobriety of the mind, of your emotions, to get clear on like, oh yeah, I have these attachments. I have this energy attachment to something outside of myself, and I'm seeking that because I needed to validate me. And so another personal example now for energy leaks. And this happened, and there's many, many examples, but this is one that as I was preparing for this podcast episode that came to my mind. I haven't thought about this in years, but it's such a striking example that I thought it would be helpful. So years ago, I'm talking like 15 years ago, when I first left my previous career as a middle school teacher back in Chicago. I'm now in Mexico, but back in Chicago. It was my first year after I left that career. I was still very much figuring out. I knew when I left teaching that I was being called to do work in healing. I knew it would involve spirituality. I knew it would involve energy work, but I had no idea how all that was going to fit together. And so at that time, what I was doing, I had converted part of my home at that time into a healing studio. So it was on the second floor. There was a healing, instead of the living room, it was a whole healing studio with a bathroom and all of these things. And I was seeing clients for it was like two different clients. I was seeing clients for IFS, internal family systems, parts work. Like clients were coming to me for parts work. And if you're like, what's parts work? I won't go too deep into it, but it's basically me coaching these clients. Really at that time was all women coming to me to help them identify the different parts of themselves that had burdens, help them unburden those parts so that they could lead from their soul. So there was that group. And then I was also trained in Reiki, energy healing. So then I was also doing energy healing sessions with people. That's what I was doing. Now, at this moment, 15 years later, I'm integrating all of those things into my coaching programs. I have so much more clarity and mastery and understanding. But at that point, I really was a rookie in the sense of all of this. And so most of the women that were coming to me, I knew nothing about choosing a niche or who am I focusing on. I was just like, whoever, come. And it's so amazing how the universe works. Most of the women that were coming to me were nurses, former teachers, social workers. They were all helpers, right? Already I was getting the hints of like, oh, this is who I'm meant to help. But one day, this woman who I still don't know, when I was preparing to share this story, I still cannot remember how she found me. I had this appointment with this woman. She shows up in a taxi, which was, that never happened. Everybody drove to my sessions, but she showed up, was dropped off in a taxi. This very, stunning woman, very tall. I mean, she really looked like a model, was not a nurse or any of those things. She just came to me. And, I welcomed her. I did the check-in process. And she proceeded to tell me just some very, very, very extreme circumstances she was in. Very traumatic. And I don't feel the need to share details because that's not important to this, except to share that she was sharing this. And this is what was different. Like most of my clients up to that point who were coming in were sharing, if it got to that, were sharing stories that had happened in the past. This woman was currently in a very, very toxic, abusive situations. So that was happening. I didn't know enough about energetic boundaries. I mean, if this happened today, I would handle it so differently. There's just would be such a different thing. But I didn't know any better, right? So she shared all this. I was kind of taken aback, but I was like, okay, we're gonna, she came for Reiki, not for parts work. And she got on the Reiki table and I proceeded with the process of doing Reiki on her. Or channeling Reiki energy, right? If you don't know what Reiki is, it's just like really you are a vessel channeling healing energy to move through you to the person that has come to you for this treatment. But again, I was very rookie-ish in the time. I was still very much figuring things out. And so we had the session and she actually, when she got up, was very grateful, very thankful, looked completely different and left. But when she left, I was like, literally felt like, and I want to say this with so much respect and compassion, but I felt like I'd been vomited on, like really, but I wasn't. It was like I looked the same, but energetically I was just like, what just happened? Like I felt so drained, so just like, yeah, like somebody had just thrown vomit or some other toxic substance on me. Now, again, I say this with compassion. I don't know that she did that consciously in any way. I, as a professional, was meant to be the responsible one, right? Who knew how to set those boundaries, but I didn't I thought I did. I had up to that point, when this woman came to me. And so that was the first time after she left. But again, I was so new. I was kind of like questioning myself, even though I felt like I understood what happened. Anyway, it took a lot of different paths for me to really understand and find my way, find teachers to help me really get clear on energetic boundaries and then my own process for it. But it was the first time that I very tangibly, to that extent, understood about energy drains and energy leaks. And so that's an extreme example, right? It might not be that way for you, but it's like, think about, are there people And again, we're doing this with so much compassion, right? Because we could do that, right? We might do this to other people unconsciously, right? We might hook to other people and want to take their energy. But think about in this moment, if there's people in your life, maybe it's clients or students, maybe it's family members, maybe it's none of those. Maybe it's when you go out in the world and you're in a grocery store and suddenly you feel that depletion, that drain. That's what's happening, right? It's something outside of you has hooked onto you and started to deplete your energy. And this can happen consciously or unconsciously from both sides. I don't know that this woman, in fact, I really don't believe that this woman, the first time she came, yes, because she came twice, that she was like, I'm going to go and suck her energy. I don't think that's what she intended to do. And I definitely was not like, go ahead. I didn't know, but it was all unconscious. So, because the only way those energy leaks can happen is if we give them in some way, we gave it permission. Okay. So, why is this a particular problem for helpers? And this is going to answer a little bit of, you might be thinking, well, why would I consciously give anybody permission to do this? So I'm going to talk about why are these two energy drains, energy attachments and energy leaks, such a particular problem for helpers. Number one is the wounded helper archetype. Most helpers that I work with, probably because that's such a strong archetype for me. An archetype, you could think of that as a pattern. The wounded healer is someone who has gone through a lot of challenges, often in childhood, often in young adulthood, often like in the first half of their lives, right? That were so challenging. And it was part of the training, right? It wasn't as awful as they might have been. It was part of the divine curriculum that you signed up for. And through those experiences, you gained wisdom, you gained resilience, you gained compassion, right? So, I mean, oh my gosh, now having done this for 15 years, I can think of the hundreds and hundreds of clients I've helped and I've worked with and I talk to, and I can really know this archetype so well, right? Like they've gone through so many challenges and then because of that, they were drawn then to become healers. And you don't have to use that word. Maybe they were drawn to become teachers or therapists or coaches or nurses or social workers, and maybe not even in any of those fields. Maybe it's, I had a client who was an FBI agent. I have clients who've been accountants, marketers, but they still have that like in their heart, that pull to be of service, to bring about divine solutions, to midwife change, to be a change maker, right? So that's a beautiful thing. And what often that also creates, that those early challenges can also create this validation hunger. Because often those early traumas, wounds, challenges, a lot of times, part of the hardest part of those challenges was not having people outside of us, our parents, our guardians, teachers, whatever, who validated our experience, right? Who validated us, who said, this isn't your fault, or you're doing such a good job, or I'm so proud of you, right? We didn't have that external validation. Again, that was by design. Because I truly believe that as helpers, we went through this intense curriculum, often to really be able to remember that validation comes not from outside of ourselves. But on the path, we become very validation hungry. And so then you can imagine how becoming attached to things outside of ourselves can be such a problem for helpers. The other thing that can happen is that we can also be boundary challenged, right? Again, because of the challenges, the difficulties we've gone through, we weren't taught how to have clear boundaries, or it wasn't safe to set clear boundaries. Our boundaries were often trespassed, abused, all sorts of things. And so again, so then you have those two things, right? This validation hunger and this boundary challenge that makes us so prone as helpers to have these energy leaks, these energy drains. And again, I'm naming all of this to normalize it. And of course, most of the time when I work with clients or when potential clients come for a consultation with me, they've already done a ton of work on this, right? So probably if you're listening to this, you're like, oh yeah, I've worked so much on my boundaries, or I've worked so much on, not seeking external validation. And that's wonderful and amazing. And it's an ongoing process, right? It can be so subtle, those places where we're leaking our energy. And the other thing that's really important to know, that even though helpers are particularly vulnerable for this, it's also true that helpers, how do I say this? It is even more important for helpers to heal this up. Truly, all humans, right? I would love all humans out in the world to know about energy attachments and energy leaks, and of course, be able to come back into alignment. But it is even more essential for helpers. Why? Because you have a divine mission. You have a divine assignment to help, right? You have a design assignment to be of service, to share your creative work, to bring what I said before, right? To bring about divine solutions, to bring about transformation. And you can only do that at the level you're meant to do it in if you heal energetic attachments and energetic leaks, if you step into energetic sovereignty. Because as long as you're really, and I want to be clear, I don't mean perfectionism. I don't mean you'll never have this again. This is like an ongoing journey. As long as we have an ego, which will be as long as we're alive as humans, we will have to, I don't want to say struggle with it. We will have to keep kind of navigating it, right? Mastering it. It's an ongoing mastery journey. And so, for example, I've been writing my second book for so many years. It's been so many iterations, so many refinements. And I recently understood that, oh gosh, one of the reasons, because I literally have enough content to publish 4 books right now. I really do. I'm not just exaggerating or making that up. But it just has not felt right. It just, every time I go forward, and it's not fear, it's just it's like a stop. It's like my soul saying nope. And it's very frustrating. I have parts that are very frustrated about that. However, or have been, I have a lot more peace about it because I've realized many things, but recently one thing that became very clear is oh my gosh, my soul wants me, whatever book, the book I'm actually birthing next, to be created and birthed from non-attachment. Why is that? Non-attachment and also no energy leaks. And I don't mean every single second of the day that I work on it, I'm never going to have that. It's just that I'm so attuned to it and I notice it and I come back into alignment. Why is that? Because my book is meant to carry, my book's going to be for helpers. So my book is meant to carry that vibration of non-attachment. It's meant to carry that vibration of non-energy leaks, right? Of light. So that when the helpers read this book, they're not just taking in the words. It literally was created from that place. So I've been in this intense divine curriculum all of this time of many things, but one of getting so clear on this so that I write it from that place. And so that's just my example. I'm not saying you're going to write a book, although you might be writing a book, but it's that's why this is so important. It's not just so you feel better and you feel good. Those are essential. But it's because when any energy attachment, any energy leaks is attaching us to our ego structure. And so all of the gifts that the divine wants to pour through you get impeded. Yes, some of it still goes through, of course. Like my first book. Yes, I had attachment, but it's still valuable. I still look at it and read it and I'm like, oh, I love what I wrote there. Or that's still so useful. That's still so helpful. So I'm not saying it's worthless by any means. But now it's been many years later. I'm further ahead in my spiritual journey. So now my soul is asking from me for more, right? It's okay, what if I could bring in much more of the divine's light and teachings through this book? Same for you. What if you could bring more of your soul's medicine through your book or in your sessions or in your lives that you do or just in your interactions, in your relationships? That's why this is so essential. Because the truth is, the world needs your light intact. Intact. Like that's what the world needs. That's why, when I coach my clients, I say I'm coaching from martyr identity to sovereign helper identity. And there's a lot of iterations of that, right? There's a lot. And so this teaching today, this podcast episode comes from, the step in my process, which is all about energetic sovereignty. So the world needs your light intact because as a sovereign helper, you're meant to help from fullness, not depletion. From non-attachment, meaning you don't need anything back from the people you're helping. Now, obviously, I know we're business owners also, so I'm not talking about money. Yes, you might be a coach and you get money for your services. That's not what I mean. I'm talking about like when you add value to the world and it's not attached with like, oh, I hope they like it, or I hope they like me, or I hope they tell me this was really good, or none of that. Think about how pure your creations will be. So this is what I'm going to teach you now, this practice. I'm calling it Sovereign Light Meditation. This is based on a meditation that one of the teachers I follow shared, who this other teacher shared. If you can look up frame meditation, I think it's called frame meditation. And this young man, spiritual teacher shares, I think he learned it from his coach. Anyway, so this is, but so it's based on that. Like when I did it, I was like, oh, this is so powerful. But it also was like, oh, I want to tweak. I want to really make it specific for helpers. So this is my version of it. Okay. But I want to make sure to acknowledge that this was inspired from the frame meditation. So if you are guided to go on YouTube and search it and look at that, please feel free to do that. Okay. So what this practice is really a practice to start to rewire your energy to help serve, lead, interact from a place of like, you're the light. Everybody else has their own light. It's like if you think about a candle, and I'm going to show you a candle in a bit. But if you think about a candle, when a candle lights another candle, the original candle is still lit, right? It's like all the candles are lit. But often as helpers, because of everything I already explained, we go around kind of like, okay, let me give you a little bit of my light, and now a little bit more of my light, and a little bit more of my light, and now I don't have light, now I'm depleted, now I feel overwhelmed. Or we might hold back because we're like, I can have this amount of people, this amount of clients. For example, I have several clients right now that I'm coaching them through increasing their capacity to be able to serve more people, right? So maybe they have 10 clients and they want to serve 16 clients, right? But they don't want to do it from a place of hustle. So I want to be clear. I'm not coaching them on like, you can do it, just push through it, don't eat, none of that. It's like, no, it's actually really coaching them and how do these energetic sovereignty practices, but also like how do they tune into their soul's infinite capacity so that coaching 16 people doesn't feel like 16 people. It feels like they're coaching 10 or they're coaching 5 because they've increased their capacity, right? And so when we're doing this work, right, when we're sharing our light, so this is where I was going, I lost myself. What I was saying is that often as helpers, we can hold back, right? You might have this desire, right, to teach classes where there's hundreds of people in the classes, or to start a group program that serves hundreds of people. Like that's my next dream, right? Yes, I have my private clients and I do my weekly podcasts and I do monthly classes and all of that. And I had an online group before, but I let it go because it was time for me to refocus on something, on like the next iteration. But now I have this dream of like, oh, I am going to have an online coaching group. And this dream is like, there would be hundreds of helpers from all over the world in this group, right? Where I would be teaching these teachings that I've distilled and mastered over these last 15 years, specifically teaching them how to release all the baggage that comes from the martyr identity to step into their sovereign helper self. And so they could share their medicine with the most impact, with the most blessing for the world and blessing for themselves. And I see this as like such a big, like hundreds of people in this, thousands of people in this. But I know for that, I need to increase my capacity, right? But I trust that that's a process I can do. Whereas in the past, it could have been like, but I don't know. What if I can't handle it? 100 people, that might be too much. I might get overwhelmed. I'm not sure. So there's a lot of helpers out there that we're like putting the brakes on, right? I've shared before that I've recognized this part of me that's constantly in my head, like, don't overdo it, don't overdo it, don't overdo it, don't too much. You're going to get overwhelmed. You're going to get burned out. Why? Because that's happened in the past, right? So although this part's trying to protect me, I also have to be the leader of my own inner world and remind that part, no, it's different. I don't want to serve hundreds and thousands of people from a place of hustle. I've served from a place of hustle. I don't want to repeat that. I'm not interested in that anymore. Doesn't even feel like a challenge to me. I know it's a challenge physically, of course, but it doesn't feel, it's like, I know I can do that. And I know some of you are watching this, hearing this, either live or on the replay, and you can be like, yep, I can check off that off my list. I have hustled and worked super duper hard and neglected myself and pushed through so many limits through my willpower. We've done that. For me, I just keep telling my press, that's boring. Like, we've done it that way. And it's not sustainable. That's the other thing. It's like now we're called to do it from sovereignty and to know, wait a minute, I can actually serve more people from this place, have more impact. And so that's what the purpose of this powerful little meditation I'm going to show you is, okay? So there's 5 steps to it, if I'm correct. Yes. And again, this is my version of it. So here's a candle. Do you see this beautiful candle? I've been showing this candle all week. I did a meditation class on Monday, which you can still receive the replay for that if you are interested. It was a meditation for helpers. Just email me or message me on YouTube. So what I was going to say, what you're going to do first. So let me slow down. I have like a million things that want to come out of my mouth. Let's ground. Okay, ground. I encourage you to do this with a candle, but you don't have to do it with a candle. If you are going to do it, and I don't mean in this moment, so you don't need to go run and get a candle, but just you're going to have this recorded. If you do use a candle, of course, practice candle safety. Okay? And so the first thing you're going to do, so let's say you're using a candle, you're going to light your candle. I'm not going to hold it up the whole time, but so here's the candle in front of me. And you're going to set an intention. Now, I'm going to offer you words as suggestions, but you use your own words. Maybe they resonate and you're like, yes, I love those words, but maybe something else comes from your heart. So trust that, okay? But you're setting the intention that with this practice, so this meditation, this ritual, I reclaim my light, I reclaim my power to serve from fullness, to serve from sovereignty. Okay, that's the intention of this practice, that I reclaim my light, I reclaim my power to serve from fullness, from sovereignty, and to honor everyone else's light. Okay, now I know I'm talking a little extra just to give you, like, I really want you to understand this. First of all, that step of setting the intention, you're reclaiming your light, because your light's always there, even when you're the most depleted. And, even like with that example I gave earlier with that young woman that came to me, and after she left, I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't have access to my light, but it was there. Had I known how to set sovereign, energetic boundaries, I would have felt my light actually rise up to help me release anything that was in mine. But I didn't know that then. So your light is never gone, but you're reclaiming your light. You're reclaiming your power to serve from fullness and sovereignty. And you're also honoring everybody else's light. This is essential for helpers, because often as helpers, we carry this rescuer, savior complex. Again, for all the reasons I shared before. So it's very important that you set that intention, and I'm going to repeat it through the other steps. That you're like, okay, not only am I reclaiming my light, I'm also remembering everybody else has a light, everybody else has a soul, everyone else has infinite capacity no matter what is going on in their lives. Like, we need to affirm that. Okay, so that was step one. Step one, so before you do anything, is you set that intention. Step two, so basically the meditation is an inhale and an exhale, right? So step two will be inhale, step three will be exhale, step four is just repeat, and step five is close and seal. It's like it all runs together though. So I'm trying to make it very clear to anchor the steps for you. But it's a lot simpler than it's, when I do this, it might seem like, oh my gosh, there's so many steps, but it's actually very natural. Okay, so you have the candle. Now you set the intention. And when you inhale, you look at the flame. Okay, I'll just hold it up. And as you inhale, you say, I claim, inside your head, in your heart, you say, I claim my light, I claim my power. Right? So just, and as you exhale and you think, I release what isn't mine, and I honor your light. Now, when you say I honor your light, maybe there'll be times where a specific person comes to mind. Like if you recognize there's someone that you're really getting drained from or you're attaching to them, then maybe you literally visualize that person. But most of the time when you say I honor your light, you're literally saying that to all of humanity. Okay? So I'll do it all in a complete thing because I know this, I'm stopping a lot, but I want to just really anchor what's happening. So again, you set the intention, you look at the candle, you inhale, I honor my light, or I claim my light. You say that internally. When I do that, I literally feel a flame light up in my heart. And then as I exhale, I release what is in mine. I honor your light. Again, this is all, you're saying it internally. And repeat, right? Inhale, I honor my light. Or claim my light, however you want to say it. As you exhale, I release what is in mine and I honor your light. And you keep doing that. And again, I want to stress when you're inhaling, you see your light. And this is the thing from this meditation that's so powerful. That was the inspiration. It's like you're really noticing the space between the candle and you. There's no enmeshment. There's no rescuing. There's no like blurry boundaries. All right, it's like, so we're gonna do that silently together now. Okay, so you're gonna look at the flame. Well, I'll set the intention first. You're gonna look at the flame. We're gonna inhale together, and when you inhale, you're gonna say, I honor my light, I claim my light. When you exhale, you're gonna say, I release what is in mine, and I honor your light. And we're gonna keep doing that together. I might say it out loud a few times, but then I'll stop talking, okay? So let's do this together. I just want you to have the recording of this. Look at the candle flame. Now, when you're doing it, you might be looking at your candle flame, but again, you don't need to use a candle. And as you look at the flame, we're going to set the intention. We set the intention that this practice help us reclaim our light, reclaim our power, reclaim our sovereignty, to serve from fullness, and to remember and honor everybody else's light. And so now we're going to begin. As you look at the flame, inhale, thinking, I honor my light. Exhale, thinking, I release what is in mine and honor your light. Inhale, thinking, I honor my light. Maybe you feel that light turning on inside of you. Exhale, thinking, I release what is in mine and honor your light. Inhale, thinking, I honor my light. See that light getting brighter inside of you. Exhale, thinking, I release what isn't mine and honor your light. Now I'm going to be quiet as we do this together. And so I'm bringing this down. And I like to bring my hands to my heart as I say something along the lines of my energy and my light is mine. I serve from fullness. I honor everyone's light. And then relax. And so what I have found practicing this is that every time I do it, it's more powerful. It's like my body has gotten used to, because I know at first you could be like, wait, I inhale and I say what? I exhale and I do what? But then it's actually very natural. And so what this is doing is rewiring your nervous system, your energy, so that as you walk through the world, and you can practice that. I've practiced taking walks, not with a candle, but in my head. I'm just walking and I'm just inhaling and exhaling, doing that. And it's very interesting to notice, like, whoa, how many times my energy would want to go off to people or feel their pain and be like, oh, can I? And so like, this is really bringing me back to me. And it's also helping me really honor everyone's light. Like you could take a walk that way very intentionally. I encourage you to do this before you're going to have any session with your clients. It could be very short. You don't even have to light the candle. Do this when you're going to have an interaction with anyone that you feel like, I need to remember my boundaries. Or when you're going to be in a big crowded place, or even if you find yourself, because this often happens to me, where like I've been doing a lot of travel and I'll be like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot to do this meditation. And now I'm in the airport with literally hundreds or the security line with people really close to me all over the place. Then you could do it then. Just do it in your mind and your heart. And again, you're claiming your sovereignty. Because this is the type of helpers that the world needs. I mean, think with everything going on around us, we're like Jesus said, right? When I say Jesus, I'm not bringing any sort of specific like religious dogma. Jesus, the ascended master, many spiritual masters said something like this. It's like we're in the world, but not of it. Like be in the world. We are called to be in the world, be the pillars of light. But the pillars of light that are being an example of what's possible, that are, yes, sharing our medicine, but without attaching to others or without leaking. That's the type of support and service that the world needs. That is what's going to usher in the golden age or the fifth dimension or whatever you call it, the healed planet. So thank you so much for being, I know this went longer than some typical episodes, but I really wanted to anchor this in as an episode for you. Please know every month I open a few slots for a free sovereignty consult, and I opened some for October already. By the way, October is my birthday month, so October is always a super powerful month for me, and it's a month where I feel like more blessings flow through me and to me, through me and to me, through me and to me. Like Mother Mary said, I am blessed and I am a blessing. You are blessed and you are a blessing. So if you want to schedule a sovereignty consult to meet with me privately, this is a free consultation where I'll help you really identify like where you are now, right? In your service, in your creativity, in your role as a helper, and where you want to be. Just that is powerful. Like I had a consult earlier this week and just helping this beautiful person get clear on like where she wants to be. It's like, oh yeah, this is where I want to be. And then identifying a map for you, helping you know like, okay, well, these are the steps then. And if I feel we're a good fit and you want to hear more, I'll share the details of my coaching program. Okay, so I'll put the link for that in the comments section. And also the free masterclass for this month is going to be October 16th. It's the reveal. It's like revealing who you are here to be. I'm so excited about it. It's really this masterclass. I know often what happens at this time of the year, we can consciously or unconsciously kind of like, oh, okay, the year's almost over. When the new year starts, then I'll really commit and then I'll really like be focused. But that's not actually what happens. If you what am I trying to say? Kind of like let go of your focus and intention. What actually happens in January is you're recovering from the holiday season because you've been depleted because of all of that. And then it takes a few months to get refocused and be like, okay, wait, what do I want to do this year? But let's not do that this year. I said this is our breakthrough year, and I meant it. I have had so many breakthroughs. I mean, many have been incredibly painful, but they were breakthroughs. And so this month's masterclass, October 16th, I'll put the link. I probably won't even put a description yet, but if you're like, yes, this is what I want, just sign up already for it. This is going to be that, is like getting really clear, like kind of like, okay, yes, we're here. Yes, we're going to enjoy the holidays. I'm not saying don't connect with people, but it's like recommit to like, who do I want to be by the end of December? So that come 2026, the year of the fire horse, we are ready to take off and be like the, blazing lights that we're here to be, grounded and sovereign, right? So thank you so much for being here with me, and hope to see you next week. Hope to see you in a consult if you're called to that, and I hope to see you in the masterclass. And yeah, happy October 1st, best month ever. Not just because it's my birthday, but it's the Days of the Dead, and I'm in Mexico, and I love those. It's like one of my favorite times of the year.